What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lamonts G Custom Knife Show, the number 3 podcast. As you can tell, this is not my normal background. Um, my wife has taken over the office, and actually, it is her office. I've just been using it. In my gym, I had an outlet to burn out, which affected the entire gym electricity. So I have no lighting in there. Um, it's actually pretty doggone cool this morning. So it's probably about 40 degrees in my gym. Uh, my forging area, I cracked open the door and I have spider webs and crap everywhere in there. So I couldn't film in there this morning. And let me just say, this is a cluster. I'm actually in the dining room of my home at the moment. The lighting sucks, but it is what it is, man. I'm going to have to figure out something. I had planned to redo my gym and have like a half gym and half office, but with no electricity and probably going to be a 2 or 3 thousand bucks to get that fixed. I don't know what I'm gonna do right now. So I'm gonna improvise, adapt, and overcome. But anyway, welcome. Um, Something interesting happened over the past few days, but in increments. Um, an old friend hit me up and asked how I was doing. Her parents have fallen ill, and she had to come back to the area. And she just asked, if things, how things are going. She see the difference in the area. It's not the same area we grew up in. Quite a few businesses have, built up, and things just don't look the same. But she wanted to ask me about my parents' home. That I grew up in. She see that was new construction and all that up there. And I was telling her that my niece's 2 kids, my two great niece and nephew, they're redoing the property. And so we, over the past few days, conversate a little bit and just started to catch up. And when you meet somebody you haven't seen for 30 years, you want to reminisce. So we started talking about, back in the day. She was an individual who she wasn't physically attractive, I guess you could say. She was a heavy girl. I remember the last thing I remember about her, and I'm not calling out any names. Don't want to embarrass her. Matter of fact, I don't have permission to use her name for this particular podcast. But the last thing I remember about her, we went to prom, and she didn't have any boyfriends, and in our early days, she came to prom either with her parents or by herself. I can't remember. You did have somebody who came with their parents, and then you had a few who came by themselves. And it's funny because I actually kind of sort of had a little crush on her back in the 7th grade. And they moved, I want to say, for a number of years and came back. And which honestly, I barely noticed her. She was teased because of her weight, unfortunately. But when I saw her here recently, she's absolutely beautiful, and I'm like, wow, what a difference 30 some odd years make. So um, I don't think she ever got married. Didn't have any kids. I don't believe. Which is and my question was because I couldn't remember what school they actually moved, and I couldn't remember what location she was at. But for some reason, my memory just couldn't take me to those particular points. But you know, I just asked her, Jesus Christ, hell, you're absolutely beautiful. How did you, not get married? Did not have children. And to be honest with you, her answer broke my heart because those days that you know she was teased, she was mocked, she was ridiculed for her weight, etc., etc. Did something hurtful to her deep down inside, and she just never wanted to get close to anyone. She stayed close to her parents and maybe one or two friends from the other school, but you know, um, it just affected her, and I really really didn't want to hear that because it just made me feel bad, because she was a nice person. She is a nice person, she's still here, but it just got me to thinking that you know we can't go back 30, 40 years and get those days and that time back, but we can teach and give our youth the wisdom of and how powerful our words are. Um, I don't know what happened to her when she moved, what type of situation she was in, but I'm pretty sure it was no different from when she was at Welborn, uh, being picked on. And I can honestly say I remember being friends with her. I remember talking to her. And like I said earlier, I kind of sort of had a little crush on her, I guess you could say. Um, but, words are very, very powerful. And um, you have sensitive people, very sensitive people. And especially when it comes to girls, females, women, you have some that are very, very, very sensitive. Now, you also have some who are strong, strong willed, and, just brush stuff like that off. But I promise you, for those people, for those individuals, they have a moment where they think about that, and it actually kind of hurts. Because listen, words hurt us all. Look at how big and strong and powerful and tough you are. Words can affect us all. So we have to teach our youth to be mindful what they say and how they treat other people. And this individual, thus the focus of this podcast, she's very successful in her field. Uh, to my knowledge, she deals with the corporate side of companies like Honda and Mercedes and you know um, Hyundai and etc. Just the automakers. She deals with something on the corporate side of that. I couldn't understand it. It might have been corporate law. It may have been. I can't remember, but she's very successful. But as we were talking, um, her parents are ill, and she's having to take care of them and pretty much put in place their final, wishes and their estate, etc. So she's got a lot on her. But yet I can see it in her eyes because I'm telling her about my grandkids, my grandbaby's first softball game, and she don't have it and will never have it. I could see the hurt as I'm telling her. I had to cut that conversation short for the simple fact I'm up here. Yeah, I got my grandbabies, blah blah blah, my kids, and there's nothing she could have offered to counter that. So it was very very unfortunate. But it's always good to see old friends, um, people you grew up with, people you went to school with. It's always great for me. For a lot of people, they don't want to have anything to do. with the individuals they went to school with at all, and that's unfortunate. Um, that's really really unfortunate. But um, I don't plan on going to any more class reunions. I think I probably went to one or two. The first 10 year, I think it was like early 2000s, and the 15. But after that, yeah, it's not important to me, man. We listen. Maybe when we're in our 60s and 70s, it might be important, but right now, as I'm finalizing my career with the state of Alabama and enjoying my grandkids and etc. Um, listen, I got my thing going, they got their thing going, so we can. That's what Facebook is for. We can chit chat on Facebook. We actually have a class page, and I don't even participate in that anymore. But anyway, I've been rambling a little bit too long. I just wanted to tell you that story about the young lady. That was much more said, but like, I'm not really comfortable um, with too much of that conversation because listen, I don't have permission to use a name, so therefore, if I give a little bit too much information, somebody who gonna watch this podcast gonna know exactly who I'm talking about. And the little bit of friendship that I do have with this individual, I don't want it to disappear. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But yeah, just be mindful of the way we talk to people, and we have to teach our youth, our young ones, that words are powerful, and you know we don't want to. I can sit here and talk about bullying and teasing and all that crap. I don't believe in bullying. I don't. I'm one who was, they used to call me Blinky. They used to pick with this and pick with that. I laugh right with them for the simple fact it was funny. You crack a joke on me, I'm gonna laugh with you. Uh, I'm not a joke. I wasn't a joke cracker, so I'm not finna come back with something that's everybody gonna laugh at. So I'm gonna laugh with you. It is what it is. Now, can somebody be bullied? Yes. That's the definition of somebody who identifies someone's weakness and they jump on it. You know, I've seen it working in law enforcement. When I worked in jails, um, you have an individual. He see a weak person. He gonna take all their commissary. He gonna take everything that person got because that person can't defend themselves. And basically, that's what bullying is. You have to be a weak individual to be bullied. And I don't care if you're the smallest, the shortest, whatever. If you have any kind of heart, any type of testosterone, you ain't finna let nobody bully you. It's either gonna be you or me. One of us gonna die. That's the way I've always felt. But I know everybody don't have that in them, so it is what it is. But in conclusion, I just wanted to say that I appreciate you and I love you. Um, I I know the lighting is bad, and this is probably not ideal to do what I do, but that's all I got right now. It's either that or take that other device and go sit in my car, which is like I said, I wouldn't mind doing it, but it was kind of cold this morning, and almost like, damn, is this ever going to end? Because it's been cold for 5 6 months now, every morning. But I love you. I appreciate you. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I'll see you next time.